Welcome to the Principal Patterson Podcast, where leadership meets excellence in education. I'm Shanavia Patterson, and I'm here to help you navigate the nuances of becoming a high-performing school leader. Each week, we'll explore essential pillars of high-performing schools, from climate and culture, teaching and learning, systems and operations, and even coaching and development. Remember, everything that happens in our schools is leadership created or leadership alive. Join me as we create schools of excellence, one principal at a time. Welcome back to the Principal Patterson Podcast. Today's guest is someone who embodies leadership with both heart and purpose, and it is Dr. Kimberly. She is the assistant principal at one of the largest districts in the United States. So, from classroom teacher to confident leader, Kimberly's journey is one I've been honored to witness firsthand. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So Kimberly, Dr. Kimberly, welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great. Just thinking back on the progress of where I started with you to where I am now, and having you in this leadership journey with me it's kind of surreal. I'm on a podcast with Shanavia Patterson, Principal Patterson. How amazing is that?
You are
I'm
so
excited.
sweet. You are so sweet. So let's start with your journey. You know, your leadership journey started well before you became the assistant principal of this school. But your first love for education, like let's start there, and your mother's story and things like that.
Yes, thanks for asking about that. So, when my mom was 17, she found out that she was going to have me, and she had a decision to make. Did she want to put me up for adoption, or did she want to keep me? She decided to put me up for adoption, because at 17 years old, that's a huge task, right? To take on a family and to raise a daughter when you're still a child yourself.
Mm-hmm.
On the day that I was born, she decided to keep me. She said, "You know what? I'm strong. I can do this. Even though I'm in 11th grade, I can do this."
Mm-hmm.
So she dedicated her whole life to me. She never ended up getting a high school diploma. Um, didn't go back to get her GED or anything like that. But she's a strong woman, and she raised a strong woman. And as a result, I dedicate all of my education, my degrees, my experience to her, to honor her. She didn't get to go to her prom. She didn't get to have the high school experience. So part of my journey is ensuring that the students that I encounter get to finish their degree and have that experience. I pay it forward.
I love, oh my goodness. You know what? Your mother's story clearly has like shaped your why you do what you do. And that legacy influences how you show up for your students. And do they know that story? Do you ever share that with them, or do you keep it to your chest?
I, I share it when necessary.
Okay.
I know that there are students that are struggling every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has something, adults,
Mm-hmm.
teachers, students,
Mm-hmm.
just being that empathetic leader and understanding that what they're going through, sometimes they just need someone to listen. And that's
Yeah.
what I can provide. Sometimes they need some guidance, and that's what I can provide. Sometimes just sharing my story helps them. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad to be able to do that for them.
Yeah. And as an assistant principal, talk a little bit about the journey to get here.
It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy. So I was in the classroom for, gosh, I don't even want to say how long, but I always had this desire to go into leadership. And I'm almost embarrassed to say, I like went on 14 interviews before I found you.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what I had to offer. I just didn't know how to articulate it. I
Mm-hmm.
knew what was inside of me. I just didn't know how to bring it out. So I went on all these interviews, and I was saying what I thought they wanted to hear, but I wasn't truly being authentic to myself and my expertise. And so I was giving them what I thought they wanted. I wasn't giving them the real version of me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I linked up with you, I think it was like in 2021. I don't quite remember, but I just remember something resonated with me. You were on socials, and you were like, "Women in leadership. I got you." And no one had ever said that before. No one had
Mm-hmm.
ever said, "Women in leadership, I got you. Let me take you on this journey." You gave me the tools. So you took me from the classroom to teacher talent developer, which is a school-wide coach. Uh, to an assistant principal because with your help, with your classes, I was able to articulate my value. Never before had I been able to do that. I was saying what I thought they wanted me to say, but not what I really had to offer.
Yeah. So during this journey of, your resiliency, like you knew you what you had to offer, and you just needed someone to help pull it out of you so that you can articulate it. And now you're here. You're an assistant principal, and talk a little bit about the growth that you have had as an assistant principal. So now you're not, teaching children, you're coaching and leading adults, still working with students, but your role has shifted so much. So talk about this experience now as an assistant principal.
I want to say that it wasn't easy. I also want to share, I have the Shanavia Patterson Library. Um, and I have binders of your teachings.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not even kidding. I have all these binders of things. I have your book. You took me to school, and I enrolled and I studied all of your material. And
Oh.
because of the journey that I invested in myself, I was able to get this far.
Mm,
One of the things I had to learn on this journey, I think, would be progress over perfection.
mm-hmm,
Because as I wanted to be perfect in everything that I did, and
mm-hmm.
that's not possible.
Yeah.
And I just needed to give myself some grace, and I just
Mm,
needed to learn um, I am enough, and I know I have something to offer people, and I just needed to know like how to say that. And
mm-hmm.
you taught me that.
Because I know you describe yourself as conflict averse, and having dealing with conflict, and having hard conversations, being confident in those conversations. So how have you developed that resiliency to be able to do that?
Yeah. I reflect, I don't ruminate.
Mm,
So on everything that I've gone through, I reflect, how could I have done this differently? What else could I do to improve? There's a lot, one of the things that I like that you offer are acronyms. Like
hmm.
you give a lot of frameworks. And
Yeah.
so when I'm having these conversations with adults, adult learners are different than children learners. So
Yeah.
just coaching me through on how to talk to adults.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of it's just listening,
Yeah. Yeah.
just being there listening and knowing and explaining to them I've been where you're at, because a lot of times in leadership what I've noticed are teachers are like, you haven't even been in the classroom for 3 years and yet you're a principal already. Like, who are you to tell me what to do? I feel like that's an advantage that I've been in the role of teaching for, gosh, 20 years. That's
Mm-hmm.
actually given me the leverage that I need in
Hmm.
working with the teachers. And every morning I'm listening to the podcast that you put out for Leadership Live or Leadership Collective, and some things that you say really resonate with me. One of them, I don't, it's like, and is. You always say, and is. um, so that's kind of, where I feel like I can have the high expectations and I can have the compassion and is.
And is like they go together. They go
Hmm.
together. Like it's not an either or, it's both and is. This is what
Yeah.
we're going to do. Okay, I love that. And you know what, as Dr. Kim mentioned, we have been, work partnering on her journey for a number of years virtually, and finally got to meet this year in 2025 at TLC Live, my first live event for women in leadership. And I must say, I was excited to meet everyone there, of course, but there's something about meeting the people who invested in themselves, who did not have, necessarily district support to invest in their leadership growth and development. You had invested in yourself over years, over years, over years. And to us to get to this event and to see you walk into that VIP reception, I immediately knew who you was. And it was just such a great moment, even for me, to meet you, face to face after all these years of coaching. So I want you to share, Your experience at TLC Live
Yeah.
in
So,
person.
yes. Um, my experience, I'll go into depth, but it was so good that I'm now going to Detroit again to see you and to be with the ladies. So let's just fast forward to the future because it was such an investment for me that I I know I it's almost like you're thirsty and
Mhm,
all these women are the water, and just to be
mhm,
around them and get nurtured was amazing. So one of the things I've shared with you is I have two master's degrees. I have a master's in special education, one in educational leadership. I have doctoral hours in curriculum and instruction, and finally graduated with my doctorate. I'm educated. However, this experience educated me beyond the textbook.
mm.
This experience educated me beyond the classroom because there's nothing that replaces people.
Ooh.
And the people that are on my journey with me are like-minded. And I met so many amazing women, and we still talk. We text each other, we check in with each other. It is There are district leaderships, there are district resources, but nothing is like the Leadership Collective.
Mhm.
There's not one type of leadership program that centralizes on women in leadership. You're the first.
Yeah. And I was so intentional about it because there are several programs and cohorts and fellowships and all types of things. But I was very intentional about what I wanted to create because, as you know, I believe everything that happens in our schools is leadership created.
Or leadership allowed.
Come on. Okay. And so I knew what I wanted to create. I did not want a typical conference. Conferences are great. Like I go to them, I speak at them, they serve their purpose. However, TLC Live is different. It's definitely about coaching and community. It's
What I liked about your this experience was you had the workbook, you had the program, you had the agenda, but you also read the room. So you
mm,
were able to meet the needs of the women that were there. So page 24 might have said X, Y, and Z, but we were on A, B, and C. So you took us there. So you
yeah.
were able to get us to just what we needed. We were saying, this is what we need, and you were saying, here's what you do. So it was almost like a formula of you've got to know people,
Mhm.
and that's something that you're really great at.
Oh, thank you. How going back to your school, I know you went to a new campus after TLC Live. Have you been able to incorporate some of the teachings and trainings from TLC Live into your new school?
Yes. So really just working with adults,
Hmm.
especially when you go into a new school. And I'm in the sixth largest district in the United States, and my school has over 2,500 students. And we have some very experienced veteran teachers who are amazing. So, and they've been there for 10 plus years. So when you go in there, they're going to size you up. They
Yeah.
want to know what they're going to want to know what you're about, you know? And so just showing up and with the systems in place, and listening. I think that's my biggest strength. I have systems in place that you've taught me, and then listening, even down to the bus drivers. The bus drivers, funny story, they were like, who is this? She is new. She has a new way of doing things. We don't like it. Now they're writing me thank you letters. They're saying, we appreciate you, just because the system that I put in place is more efficient. They just needed to trust me. But even down to the bus drivers, to the janitors, just caring about the people that are on your campus and letting them know that you're there for them, they start to trust you. And in boundaries build trust, like having boundaries as far as like, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're not going to do, and being clear with the expectations. Now they know what to expect, and so
Mm.
getting thank you cards.
You listen, isn't it amazing how people think when they put up a boundary of their expectation that is being mean, is being cold, And that's actually how you build trust. That's how
Mhm.
you develop the respect of the people that you are, supporting. And
Mhm.
if more leaders would embrace that, embody that, and you mentioned systems, and I harp on system. I teach you all that S3 framework. You have to have systems. You have to create synergy, and then that creates your leadership to be sustainable.
Mhm.
It always starts with the system first. And so many times a lot of leaders are resistant to that because they don't want to change things, or they fear what other people are going to say about it. And it's like, and
Is. Yeah, leadership is not, it's not static. We need to, I believe in like getting input from teachers, getting surveys from teachers, what's working, what's not working. Let's work together as a team. Let's create a place where you want to come to work. Let's
Yes.
create a place where you feel safe, where you feel like I've got your back and you've got these kids' backs and you're able to do what you need to do.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about after TLC Live, you decided to invest in yourself again, and now you're a part of the collective. And now, twice a month or four times, depending on if you're able to join office hours, you're able to get on the spot coaching, direct coaching, questions answered, training, expert coaches coming in, giving us everything we need, and connect with all of the other women in the community. Can you talk about how that experience, different from being in person, but still a wealth of value being added to your leadership? Can you talk about that experience for someone who may
Mhm.
be thinking about coming into the collective?
Yes. So, full transparency, how am I going to invest in myself? Like, how will this work?
Mm,
Because that you took me from teacher talent developer to AP, I was able to get that raise to invest in myself
mm,
every single morning. And I'm not even kidding. I'm not even joking. I'm getting on the app. You have so much information on that app. You are in my ear every morning, in my car every morning. I am listening to the executive coaching, the collective live. I'm listening to every single thing that you have to offer. I think I'm almost done. So that's only the only problem. I'm just gonna have to listen to it again. But every morning, so here we are in October, and I have listened to everything on the app every single morning. And it just kind of gets me going. It gets me ready for the day. Like, okay, I can take this little bit of information and apply it to my day. So
mhm,
that's something that I actually look forward to. And then it doesn't matter what I have going on Wednesday nights. You are blocked off on my calendar. I will say, no, I'm not doing this. I have to get online. I was at a football game the other night doing duty, and I was like, okay, hold on. Yes, okay, good. Touchdown. And yes, I was doing both. That's
yeah.
how much value you bring to my life. I just feel like I feel really connected, and I want to bring it back to, I've been in the classroom for so long. I have all this education. I have all these degrees,
Mhm.
but this is the most valuable thing that I've signed up for. This is
Mm,
this has been the change that I've needed. I, I appreciate the district PDs. I
mhm.
appreciate the teachers that have invested in me and the principals and everything. But like your collective, the leadership collective says, to reset, recharge, refine. That's what I do every day when I listen to your podcast. I've invested in me so that I can invest in my school.
Oh, that is the perfect way to wrap this up. And I hope more leaders hear your story and know everybody doesn't have district funding to support their leadership growth and development. And I don't believe you should wait for that either.
Mhm.
You are your first investment,
Yeah.
and you get what you put in. And the fact that you take the time to intentionally get poured into and self coach with the resources you have access to is why you are going to be such a successful school leader. That is why you're able to navigate some hard conversations with ease now, is because you are intentional about your own leadership growth and development, and you make it easy for me as your coach. I am proud to be your coach. You are a great client to have, knowing that you are taking it and actually applying it. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna show up here and there or whatever. Like, you are very intentional. Like, you're gonna get your investment. Like, you're like, no, I've invested in myself. I want all of it, and I don't blame you for that. And I want you all to do that. So yeah, thank you, Kim. This has been a really, really rich conversation. I'm so grateful to serve you. I really am. Looking forward to seeing you in my hometown.
Detroit.
At TLC Live 2026. But before we wrap up, we do have listeners that are both principals and assistant principals. What piece of advice would you give a new assistant principal that's listening?
Um, Same advice I gave to myself, believe in my own voice.
Mm,
Don't necessarily cater yourself to what you think people want to hear from you. You
mhm,
have something in you already. Trust your voice, trust where it's leading you. You're here for a reason, you're here for a purpose. Such a time as this,
mm.
it's your time.
And on that note, thank you, Dr. Kimberly.
Thank you for joining me today on the Principal Patterson podcast, where we create high-performing schools one principal at a time. Before we wrap up, I have one last favor to ask. If you found value in today's episode, I'd love for you to rate and review the podcast. Your feedback not only helps me continue delivering content that serves you, but it also helps other school leaders discover this podcast. Share the episode with your fellow principals, your leadership teams, or anyone you feel could benefit from shifting their leadership approach. Together, we can elevate school leadership and create more schools of excellence. So please rate, review, subscribe, and share with your community.